Hi, my dear Astro family. Today we are going to be looking at the upcoming lunation, which is going to be taking place on the 24th of February on 5 degree of Pisces. And this is going to be a full, not Pisces, sorry, Virgo, and it's going to be a full moon. So this is an interesting one. I think it gives us loads of opportunities as well as the possibility to heal. So let's get right into it. But before we do that, I just want to make an announcement. I'm going to be having a webinar and a short version of course of how to interpret solar return charts. It looks like it's a very popular course. Both of them are having plenty of students on it. I'm guessing because people do care about figuring out what the upcoming year indicates for them. And one of the most popular timing technique is the solar return chart at the moment. So that in that lecture, I'm going to be giving you step-by-step guide of how to analyze your solar return chart, what really matters in that and what not. It's going to start on the 2nd of March. So if you are interested, go on my website and check it out. Now, let's get straight into this full moon in Virgo. So the facts out there. A full moon is a culmination point when the sun and the moon are in opposing sign to each other. It's going to be taking place on the 24th of February on 5 degree Virgo to 5 degree of Pisces. Now, we do have got quite a heavy Piscean element in this chart, as you can see on the screen as well. So therefore, we're going to break it down as much as possible. What you see is straight away that the sun is sitting between Mercury and Saturn. So when we start looking at Mercury, which is anyway the dispositor of this lunation, Mercury is about thinking. And Saturn says, think wisely, think clearly, plan things ahead. Now, of course, it happens in the sign of Pisces. And usually Mercury in the sign of Pisces is more to do with feeling the situation rather than thinking clearly. So here we're going to have to be able to set time or setting boundaries somehow, or to sit down and then look at things from a logical point of view as well, rather than just approaching everything from an emotional perspective. So obviously Mercury wants to be rational. Saturn is focused on the results. So when we bring these two together, this would be talking to you about that you have to be approaching your goals from a rational point of view as well. It's not enough just dream around or dream about what we would be doing, but maybe coming up with a step-by-step guide. Now, if you think about what the sun represents in our chart, this is about our future goals. Sun represents our wants, what we want to achieve. Pisces has got the tendency to dream about what they want, and Saturn is about achievements, results, and also the Lord of Time as well at the same time. So I think this is telling us this combination that it's time to think about what we want to achieve. We need to be approaching our dreams from a common sense point of view, rather than just creating these la-la land and illusions and dreaming about possibilities, because then it's never going to come around. Saturn in the sign of Pisces is about manifestation, the crystallization of our dreams. Mercury also is the representation of learning, and Saturn is the planet of mastery. So maybe this is telling us to go back to school somehow, or to learn a situation more from a deeper point of view as well. But Moon is in the sign of Virgo, which is also quite rational, right? And then Pisces represents our emotions and wanting to withdraw from a situation. So what could happen in this scenario is that our judgments get clouded by our emotions, and we do not see things clearly. So this could be one of the danger zone here with this lunation. If you ignore the facts, then unfortunately you might start just relying on your intuition way too much, and it might not be working out for Moon very well. So there is a need here with that Mercury and Saturn conjunction to analyze a situation. Now you can see in this chart that actually Jupiter is in a trine to this lunation. They are only 5 degrees apart from each other, so that we can still call as a trine. A trine aspect is when we have a 120-degree separation going on between two planets. So this time around, this is a little bit more than that, but we still consider this as a trine. And Jupiter is placed in the sign of Taurus. So that would talk to us about financial growth, for example, but also something to do with boosting your confidence level, your self-esteem, and as well as looking at your own moral codes and values as well. So Jupiter can provide us with the growth of self-esteem. It can actually give you the opportunity to manifest your dreams as well. And probably this would be coming with a long-lasting results as well, because you can see that Jupiter has got a sextile to that Saturn, which is in conjunction to the Sun and Mercury. But Sun and Mercury are in a combustion relationship. So also that often indicates that we cannot see things clearly. We are being overshadowed by someone or by others, or maybe we are overshadowed by our routines. Why the routines? Because Mercury rules the lunation, Virgo, and that talks to you about your everyday approach to daily matters. We also see an in conjunction to Mars and Venus conjunction as well. This is about 3 degrees apart, so this is very much of the maximum what I would give to a in conjunction. In conjunction is a 150-degree aspect, and often it indicates that we tend to be procrastinating, waiting around, or maybe it could also indicate that something needs to be redirected in our life, especially when it comes to Mars, the way, the way we get ignited somehow, what we are passionate about, how we initiate things. And then we've got Venus there as well, which is the planet of love, beauty, harmony, and money as well. So this is an indication that we need to find balance and harmony in our life. Quincunxes are connected to medical matters as well. So because it is Venus and Mars in an air sign, often it brings in the element of depression. So how are you going to be maybe channeling your own frustration and depression to your own advantage? Often I tend to call the quincunxes as the aspect of mistakes as well, but we need to be welcoming mistakes in our life because we learn from them. So Mars and Venus together is very much about the opportunity of love, for example. So if that's something you want to be doing, then this combination would be telling you, do not just dream about it, make a plan, schedule those dates, maybe on social media and so forth, because Mars and Venus in the sign of Aquarius, and that is connected to social media. Also, Venus and Mars often is about collaboration as well, or the way we form connections. So we might feel like, what, we shouldn't have done that collaborative work. We shouldn't have gone on a date with this person. And from a relationship point of view, maybe it was a mistake to get together with someone as well. But at the same time, what is your relationship with yourself? So of course, this lunation is happening on the mental axis. Also, it's called the axis of immune system. So are you being at war with yourself somehow? Is there an inner tension going on? Is there an inner struggle happening within yourself? Also, you can see that the moon is really lonely in this chart. This is what we would call as a bucket formation, and the moon being the handle of it. So it could actually talk to us about literally about kind of like loneliness. We feel alone. And of course, how I'm going to be redirecting this loneliness? How am I going to feel not lonely in your life? That could be a major question as well. Of course, moon being in the sign of Virgo, it's very much about organizing something in our lives. Maybe you want to be cleaning out your closet, for example, or you want to tidy up pantry. Maybe we are overcompensating here something because Virgo moon has got a tendency to overdo things, to get obsessed with things, like to get obsessed with cleaning, for example, but also with work as well. So we might not be giving ourselves the time to get involved in romantic matters. And of course, remember, Saturn and Mercury conjunction is telling you that you need to allow time for yourself to analyze a situation from different angles as well. But also, that strong Piscean element there is referring to some type of secrets. Now, that's again interesting because a full moon is about revealing something. It's about the highlight of a situation. So it might be an indication that a secret will be coming out, or you are working extremely hard, moon in Virgo, to keep your secrets, to keep your own privacy. So this might also be an indication that it's time to have a conversation with someone, but this should be very heartfelt. It should be coming deep within or from very deep down, so that it's an honest, open conversation with someone you might have been postponing or procrastinating for a while. And the other person might be coming from the Mars-Venus conjunction in the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius might be a representation of our friends or someone on social media. Often I tend to see actually the in conjunction as the aspect of bullying as well. So often that happens. And then what are you going to do about your bullies as well? And this is telling you to have a conversation with them. Also, the full moons tend to be somehow highlighting a problem in our life. But because it is really Piscean energy, usually the problem highlight is coming in a gentle way. You know what, this could be great, for example, if you wanted to solve a puzzle, some type of mysteries in your life. But if you want to write a song or you just need a little bit of ways to recharge your batteries, this is actually good for it, because a full moon is about finding balance between privacy, Pisces, and work, Virgo. But you might get a little bit more sensitive, for example, over people who work extremely hard or people who are suffering. Because the Virgo Pisces axis is also about helping out others. So one of the major questions with this lunation is what and how to organize your life. Now, from a medical point of view, this is the representation of your immune system. So this might be talking to you about boosting your immune system. And Jupiter in Taurus might be telling you that you can do that through sport, like strength training, or the way you eat things. But also, this is the axis of routines as well. So it comes with a bit of a healing, for example. So you want to be changing your habits, then you might just need to have clarity. You might need to have a plan how you're going to do that, and then let's go with it. Also, this is the axis of productivity as well as rest. In order for us to be going on, sometimes we have to have a sleep as well. But when moon is in the sign of Virgo, we tend to be worrying quite a lot. So we might not be able to sleep as well as we should be. Maybe we are unable to sleep 8 hours, 7, 8 hours, as much as we would need to. And then we tend to be we tend to wake up in the middle of the night. And maybe that is an indication that we've got a little bit of a higher cortisol level, for example. And that is one of the signs when people wake up in the middle of the night. Now, of course, Mercury being in the sign of Pisces, this is very much about the mind wants to rest. But then when we've got the moon in Virgo, actually the mind keeps thinking about, let's say, the future or their work load and so forth. So how are you going to be able to switch off the brain? Maybe it's about understanding yourself on a deeper level. As I said, this lunation is brilliant to declutter something in your life. But also it's kind of like the combination of losing an object. And I cannot get my head around it. I remember having it or holding it in my hands, and then I put it down somewhere, and then now I cannot find it anymore. So this would be telling you that, okay, you know what, step back, rest a little bit, sleep on it, and then when you wake up, you might be able to find it. When Mercury is in the sign of Pisces, you know what, trying to find something is kind of like trying to find a needle in the haystack. It's kind of impossible. So that's why we need a bit of a mental clarity with it. From a negative point of view, this could bring in loads of worry and anxiety, or you might have got the tendency to overanalyze things as well, because Jupiter is making a trine to the moon. So you might be very analytical, very judgmental and critical towards yourself and others as well. Or you might be having so many questions, question upon question. And of course, therefore, clarity is not coming to you that easily. Also, Virgo Pisces axis is very much about the axis of service. So how much you are in service to others, how much certain things are in service to yourself, finding the balance between your day-to-day routines and functioning and your health would be very important as well. It might be telling you to have a vision, Pisces, of how to become healthier, and that would be the Virgo element to it. Virgo basically represents fixing things, maintaining things, but also it might be representing the tools and the equipment or the techniques that you need to be able to cope with your day-to-day life. And Pisces would be talking to you about the maintenance of your visions. So do not allow your vision to kind of take over your life. It could represent a little bit of a daydreaming here as well. Now, having that in conjunction to Mars and Venus, it might be showing us a bit of a crisis situations, for example, in our relationships, for example. So that moon in Virgo might be telling you, okay, how are we going to solve the problem? But the Piscean element is telling us that, okay, in a way, I want to be making sure that I also feel the other person's problem as well. So it's not just about approaching it from a logical point of view, but also feeling. It's the exploration of our emotional and physical needs as well at the same time. So imagine this full moon as, you know, the Virgo side is kind of like when you get in touch with a nutritionist or with a doctor, and the Piscean element would be talking to you about getting in touch with a psychologist, for example. So this is not just about taking care of your physical body, but taking care of your mental plane as well. Now, this beautiful trine with Jupiter, also it can give you loads of kind of like a boosted self-esteem. So this might be talking to us about that you are a lot more inspired to go after your dreams. It may be encouraging you that the limit is the sky, basically. Also, at the same time, full moons are about release as well. So we might want to be releasing any of our conceptions or ideas around perfectionism, how much we expect from ourselves, how much we expect from others as well. Because as I mentioned previously, it's very easy to be critical with Virgo Pisces axis. We call it as the drama triangle overall. You can talk down on yourself with that Saturn and Mercury conjunction, for example. I'm not good enough. I'm always unhealthy. I'm not smart enough. I'm not intelligent enough. So if you talk down on yourself, then you know that there is a lot of healing to do. So some of the sentences you might want to avoid somehow is that or maybe more importantly, some of the positive sentences you want to be practicing during this period of time is that, you know what, I don't need to be in control at all times. I'm allowed to let go, because Virgo is a controlling sign. Or I am able to give up on my bad habits, such as smoking, drinking, taking too much pills, and all those type of things, or anything connected to your eating habits as well. Or I'm allowed to be focused on myself rather than having to help others all the time. Or I'm not going to be self-demeaning. So feed yourself with positive words somehow. Or I don't need to be perfect at all times. Or I'm not going to be focusing on my imperfection, because we are perfect the way we are. So these could be some really great sentences that you want to be practicing in the upcoming maybe couple of weeks or even a month. Also, this could be great for meditation or connecting with a yoga teacher. Remember that Moon in the sign of Virgo is pretty practical. So therefore, that could be a great remedy for you. Yeah, I think this is what we might have wanted to mention in regards to this full moon. So in this next section, I'm going to be looking at the colorating asteroids, because obviously we love working with them too, right? The only asteroid that is quite active this time around is Eurydice. Its astrological number is 75, if you want to be looking up. And Eurydice was the wife of Orpheus. Now, we did speak about Orpheus previously, because in the previous lunation it did play a role in the new moon. I spoke about him in the new moon of Aquarius video, who was obviously a gifted musician. And once he was just out there walking alone, and there was this guy who came upon her and actually tried to rape her. Now she managed to flee away, and but she kind of trod upon a poisonous animal, and then she got bitten, and actually it killed her. So of course, Orpheus was in grief, and he wanted to go down to the underworld to bring her back, and therefore he was singing and played some type of music in a very gentle way. And then Hades, the god of underworld, was very moved by this. So he agreed to bring her wife back, to return his wife to the world of living. But of course, Hades had one condition. Orpheus had to lead the way and not look back until they had reached the surface. Orpheus became quite angry because he was not able to hear his wife behind him. And he became very afraid that Eurydice was not following him. He was afraid that Hades would have tricked him. So therefore, as soon as they got to a certain point in the underworld, he could not resist anymore. And then he looked back to ensure that his wife had been following him. And then basically his wife just disappeared in the moment of him turning around. So this is a really interesting story. What does that represent in an astrological chart? Now, this could represent that something that you have lost. It could talk to you about a loss of memory, for example, but also it can tell you that something went missing. Sometimes you don't need to search for it. Even because you lost something for a reason. So, or it could also indicate that, do you have some type of trust issues towards others? Because if you get a promise and then you keep kind of looking back, also this is something to do with, looking back to the past as well, rather than wanting to look forward. But the question here is that, do you have some type of trust issues towards others, or being a little bit more nostalgic? Nostalgic because you keep looking back what was going on in your past, and then you are unable to let go of it. Of course, this goes really well with the Piscean themes. What we can see here is, which is, by the way, very tightly conjuncting this Pisces Virgo lunation, because Eurydice is also on almost 6 degrees of Pisces. So letting go of the past, not clinging on to something that is not useful to you anymore, that needs to be cleared out. And this full moon is actually an invitation to do that. Well, guys, this would be my take on the upcoming lunation. If you want to know how it might play out for the 12 signs, you might want to be considering signing up on my YouTube channel for the special features, and then you would be getting extra, approximately about 10 videos a month, where I'm going to be breaking this down for the 12 signs, and then I break down the aspect of the week for the 12 signs as well. You get lunation reports, you get even some teaching videos, depending on what level you are signing up on. I will see you again very soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.